Did you know that listening to stories like this one can help you learn English in the most natural and fun way possible? That's because when you follow a story, your brain starts to understand sentence structure, grammar, and vocabulary without even realizing it. This is the power of storytelling. If you want to improve your English every day with exciting, real-world stories, make sure you like this video, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button. We upload a new episode daily to help you grow. Let's get started. Nathan had never been to Dubai before. He had heard many things about the buildings that touched the sky, about the malls filled with gold and marble, and of course, about the famous hotels. But nothing prepared him for what he saw when his car turned the final corner and stopped in front of the most luxurious hotel in the city. The hotel was shaped like a sail standing against the sea breeze, glowing under the warm light of the setting sun. It stood on its own island, connected to the shore by a quiet bridge. Palm trees lined the entrance, and every step Nathan took brought a new detail into focus. Water fountains danced in front of the main doors, and a Rolls-Royce pulled away silently like a whisper in the heat. A man in a white uniform opened the car door for Nathan. "Good evening, sir," the man said with a calm smile, though the story is told in narration, so we won't repeat his exact words again. The hotel staff moved with grace, like they were part of a performance that had been practiced 1,000 times. One person took Nathan's luggage. Another offered a towel scented with rosewater. A third led him through tall glass doors that sparkled as if they'd been polished just a minute ago. Inside, everything smelled clean, soft, and slightly sweet. The lobby wasn't just big, it felt endless. High above, golden chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen fireworks. The floor beneath his shoes was made of smooth marble, and every step echoed gently. On the far wall, a waterfall trickled down over black stone, its sound calming like a whisper in the ear. The receptionist greeted Nathan by name. He didn't know how she knew it, but in a hotel like this, it didn't surprise him. There was no long check-in process. She asked him only if he had enjoyed his flight and whether he wanted assistance getting to his suite. A butler was already waiting. Nathan followed the butler into a private elevator. As they rose, the city outside came into view through the glass walls. The ocean stretched out like a sheet of dark velvet, and the sun was just beginning to sink into the horizon. Light glimmered off the tops of skyscrapers, and the reflection made the whole city look like it was glowing from within. His suite was on one of the top floors. When the elevator doors opened, a hallway led to only one door, the entrance to his private 2-story room. The butler opened it silently and stepped aside so Nathan could enter first. What he saw took his breath away. The living room was larger than most apartments he had ever seen. Soft couches in cream and gold faced a giant television set that rose from the floor at the press of a button. Long curtains framed floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the sea. And everywhere, on tables, shelves, even in the corners, there were details: fresh flowers in crystal vases, chocolates shaped like miniature buildings, and gold-edged menus offering dishes Nathan couldn't even pronounce. On the first floor of the suite, there was a private dining area, a marble-topped bar with a selection of imported drinks, and even a spiral staircase that led up to the bedroom. Nathan walked slowly, taking it all in. The second floor was just as incredible. The bed was so large it looked like it could hold 5 people comfortably. A pillow menu lay on the blanket, yes, a menu for pillows. He could choose from soft, medium, firm, even lavender-scented ones. There was a bathroom too, of course, but this one had heated floors, a whirlpool bathtub beside a window that opened slightly to let in the ocean air, and a mirror that played relaxing music when someone stood in front of it. He took a deep breath. This wasn't just a hotel room. It was an entire experience, designed to make someone feel like the outside world no longer existed. Nathan didn't rush to do anything. He set his bag down, walked barefoot across the warm floor, and sat by the window. Outside, the sky was turning from orange to pink, then to dark blue. Tiny lights flickered to life along the shoreline. Boats moved like shadows across the water. For a long time, he didn't say a word, not even to himself. He just watched. Then, as if waking from a dream, he realized he was hungry. He didn't want to eat downstairs. Not yet. So he picked up the phone and called room service. Within 15 minutes, a server in a black jacket arrived with a tray of dishes Nathan had chosen from the menu. Lobster, saffron rice, and a small plate of fruit cut into perfect shapes. The server placed the food on the dining table, bowed slightly, and left without a sound. As Nathan ate, he let his mind wander. How many people had stayed in this room before him? How many of them were celebrities, or politicians, or billionaires? And what did they think about when they looked out at the same sea? He finished his meal and poured himself a glass of sparkling water. The room was quiet except for the distant sound of the waterfall in the lobby, which seemed to echo even all the way up here. When he walked upstairs to the bedroom, the lights had already been dimmed. His pajamas were folded neatly on the bed, and someone had left a small card on his pillow. It was handwritten, welcoming him by name and wishing him a restful night. Nathan smiled. He lay down, not even bothering to turn on the television. The bed felt like clouds. Outside, the city still shimmered. He stared at the ceiling for a while, letting everything sink in. And just before he closed his eyes, he whispered, not out loud, but inside his head. So this is how it feels. Nathan woke up earlier than expected. The curtains in his suite had opened automatically at sunrise, letting in a golden light that poured across the marble floors. For a few seconds he wasn't sure where he was. But then he looked around, the elegant walls, the view of the sea, the quiet hum of the central air system, and it all came back. He was still in the most luxurious hotel he had ever seen. He sat up slowly and stretched. The bed felt like it wanted to keep him there forever. A small screen on the bedside table displayed the weather, warm, dry, and sunny. There was a soft knock at the door. When he answered, he found a breakfast tray waiting for him, freshly baked croissants, a small jar of honey, strawberries cut into hearts, and a glass of mango juice that looked like liquid gold. He ate slowly, not because he wasn't hungry, but because he wanted to enjoy every bite. He wasn't used to being treated like royalty, and part of him was afraid it would all end too quickly. After breakfast, he took a long shower in the bathroom that smelled like eucalyptus. The hot water flowed like rain from above, and every surface felt like it had just been cleaned. When he stepped out, the mirror had already cleared itself. A robe waited for him on a heated rack. It was simple, white, and soft like clouds. He got dressed and took the elevator down to the spa floor. He wasn't sure what to expect, but the receptionist there welcomed him as if he had visited 100 times before. She handed him a menu, not for food this time, but for experiences. There were massages using volcanic stones, facials with gold flakes, steam rooms scented with lemongrass, and something called a desert wind meditation session. Nathan smiled politely and picked something simple, a Swedish massage. A staff member guided him through silent hallways lined with candles. Soft music played in the background, and the air smelled like lavender. For the next hour, he lay still while someone worked carefully on the muscles in his back and shoulders. He didn't talk. He didn't think. He just let go of everything. When it ended, he felt like a new person. He spent the next few hours exploring the hotel. There was an aquarium in the lobby with fish he had never seen before, bright blue, deep red, striped, and glowing. There was a library with leather chairs and quiet corners. There was even a private beach with white umbrellas and staff who offered to clean your sunglasses if you asked. He didn't need a plan. He just followed his curiosity. Around midday he found a rooftop cafe. It wasn't loud or crowded, just a few tables, each with a view of the city. Nathan ordered a light lunch, grilled chicken with fresh greens and a lemonade that tasted like it had been made just moments ago. He sat there for a long time, looking out over Dubai. The buildings looked like they were part of another world, sharp, silver, and full of movement. Far away, he could see the desert stretching out like a soft brown ocean. When he finally returned to his room, a surprise was waiting. A small envelope had been placed on the glass desk near the window. His name was written on it by hand. He opened it and found an invitation. "We would like to welcome you to a private sunset cruise leaving from our marina at 5:30 this evening." Nathan looked at the clock. He had time. He showered again, changed into a clean shirt, and made his way downstairs. A black car waited for him at the front entrance, and within minutes, he was being driven along the palm-shaped island toward the marina. The boat was sleek and white, glowing under the afternoon sun. A small group of guests had gathered already, just 6 people, all dressed in quiet elegance. No one spoke loudly. Everyone seemed to understand that this was a moment to enjoy, not to fill with noise. As the boat pulled away from the dock, the hotel grew smaller behind them. The sea was calm. The breeze was warm. And the sky began to change again, from bright to golden, then from golden to soft orange. A waiter offered Nathan a drink, and he accepted a glass of chilled water with mint. They sailed slowly along the coastline. The city looked even more magical from the water. Lights began to appear in the windows of tall buildings. Music drifted faintly from the shore. The group on the boat stood near the railings, watching as the sun sank lower and lower into the horizon. Nathan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, complete stillness. There was no rush, no emails, no noise from traffic or phones. Just the sound of the water, the hum of the boat's engine, and the soft clink of glasses. Someone pointed toward the sky. A helicopter flew past, its lights blinking gently. Behind it, the sun finally touched the ocean's edge and turned the world gold for one final minute. Then it was done. The boat returned quietly to the dock, and the staff helped each guest step off safely. Nathan didn't want to go back to the room immediately. He walked along the marina for a while, watching the water shimmer in the dark. A few couples sat on benches whispering. Somewhere, a saxophone played slow jazz. Eventually, he returned to his suite. The lights had been turned down low. A small dessert sat on the table, chocolate with a shiny gold leaf on top. The message next to it read, "Sleep well, Mr. Walker. Tomorrow the city waits for you again." Nathan smiled. He didn't eat the dessert. He saved it for later. He changed into his robe, sat by the window again, and looked out at the ocean. Even at night, it moved with soft power. He thought about the city. About the way it balanced tradition with luxury. About how everything seemed designed to impress, yet nothing felt forced. And he wondered, what would tomorrow bring? Nathan didn't set an alarm that night. Still, he woke up just after sunrise, as if something inside him didn't want to miss even one more moment of this dreamlike experience. The room felt different in the morning light, softer, calmer. The sea outside was almost still, a mirror of pastel colors stretching toward the horizon. He made himself a cup of tea using the machine in the suite. Even the teacups were delicate, with golden edges and tiny floral designs. He sat by the window again, sipping slowly, watching the yachts far below leave their docks one by one. He had a flight home later that night, but the entire day still waited for him. After breakfast, Nathan decided to visit the hotel's private gallery, something he had only read about in the welcome guide. A short elevator ride took him to a quiet floor that felt more like a museum than part of a hotel. The space was cool and silent, with soft lighting and velvet ropes guarding paintings, photographs, and sculptures. The art wasn't only from Dubai or the Middle East. There were modern pieces from Europe, African masks, abstract works from Latin America. One photograph caught Nathan's attention, a black and white shot of an old fisherman in Oman, standing barefoot with a net over his shoulder, staring directly at the camera. There was something powerful in his expression. Something that reminded Nathan of dignity. He stood there for a while before moving on. In the next room, he found something surprising, a digital painting that changed depending on where you stood. When he approached it from the left, it looked like a desert storm. When he walked to the right, it became a quiet night under the stars. He smiled. Technology and tradition blending once again. After the gallery, he walked through the garden level of the hotel, where fountains whispered quietly and trees offered shade in soft curves. A few guests strolled by, some with cameras, others simply enjoying the peace. One couple sat by a koi pond, watching the fish move in slow circles. Nathan reached into his pocket and found the hotel card, his key, shaped like a smooth metal pebble. He rolled it between his fingers. For a moment he thought about extending his stay. Just one more night. But something in him said no. The magic worked because it was temporary. If he stayed too long, it might start to feel normal, and he didn't want that. Around noon, he went back upstairs to pack. The closet lights turned on automatically when he opened the doors. His clothes were hanging perfectly. Even the small things, his watch, his charger, his travel notebook, had been neatly arranged on the desk. He packed slowly, carefully folding each item and placing it in his suitcase. When he finished, he took one last walk through the room. The sofa, the marble sink, the view. He wanted to remember all of it exactly as it was. Just before leaving, he spotted something new on the bed, a handwritten note on hotel stationery. It said, "Thank you for staying with us. It was our pleasure to host you. Safe travels, and may your next visit be just as memorable." He smiled again. Checkout was easy. The lobby was quiet and the staff greeted him by name. Someone took his luggage, someone else brought him a cool towel and a small glass of pomegranate juice. Before getting into the car, he stood still in the grand entrance for a few seconds. Above him, the chandelier sparkled with daylight. Around him, the marble floors reflected the shapes of people walking in and out, carrying their stories with them. Then he stepped into the car. The ride to the airport was smooth. As they crossed the bridge leaving the man-made island, Nathan looked back once more. The building stood like a crown at the edge of the sea, shining against the sun. A place built not just for comfort, but for memory. At the airport, while waiting for his flight, Nathan opened his notebook and began to write. Not about the food or the room, but about how the whole experience made him feel seen, respected, inspired. He wrote about the silence of the spa, the softness of the robe, the way the sun had disappeared behind the ocean during the boat ride. He ended the note with a single sentence. Sometimes the world surprises you not with noise, but with stillness. When his flight was called, he closed the notebook, stood up, and moved toward the gate. The trip was over, but the story would stay with him. And now, if you've listened this far, you've already learned more than you think. While you were enjoying Nathan's adventure, your brain was absorbing dozens of useful English structures and natural vocabulary without even trying. You've seen how to describe events in the past, how to use passive voice naturally, how to form descriptive sentences using relative clauses, and how to write elegant transitions between ideas. That's the true power of storytelling. Learning becomes smooth, effortless, and fun. We publish a new video like this every single day, so don't forget, if you enjoyed this story and you want to keep improving your English in a natural and entertaining way, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. What would you do if you spent a night in the world's most luxurious hotel? Thanks for being here. See you in the next video.